Hey guys, what is up? AwesomeTheSauce here. Hope you guys have a great day. And today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people have some criticisms about. We're going to be talking about the gear in the world of Novus, and honestly, some troubling signs that it actually might get worse. I think this is a very relevant topic. I have a wizard on a second account that I've been trying to gear up. I'm making progress. You know, I got the robe, got the theme, got the ring, but it's taken me many hours to even get this much. And honestly, a huge part of the reason is something I actually talked about in a previous video, and it's the fact that unlike in previous worlds, in order to upgrade the tier 1 form of a piece of gear, you need a school specific tier 2 piece of gear. Meaning I got this abstract masterpiece cape dropped in previous worlds. The second I got this dropped, I could have made a Dreamscape Aeon cape, the myth one, but now that's no longer possible. As you can see, you need a Dreamscape masterpiece cape to do this. Basically a way to understand numerically what's happening, right? In Lemuria, I could have gotten any tier 2 robe and made my tier 1 myth robe, but now since I only need the myth robe, it's essentially 7 times harder. Now that's assuming that the drop rates for the tier 2 gears in both worlds are the same. There's a chance that they are not the same, as in, like, you know, the Malevolent gear, which is a tier 2 Lemuria gear, maybe it has a lower drop rate, so maybe it makes up for that little discrepancy, but I sincerely doubt that it's 7 times harder to get Malevolent gear than Masterpiece gear, so I would argue that Masterpiece gear makes it much harder to craft in order to upgrade your gear. That's essentially the problem that a lot of people have. You made a world that's actually kind of hard to farm. The bosses are hard to farm. Some of them, like Rentinten, the Athame boss, is just RNG, and it's essentially 7 times harder to farm the bosses for the gear that you need. So a lot of people have been talking about how there needs to be some sort of pity system in Wizard101, especially because when you're farming a certain boss, you could be farming for one school like my myth right over here, and you could get every other school in sight in the meantime. And it's absolutely silly that you get things at the same drop rate as a myth gear, but they're utterly useless, right? To an extent, I get it, you're grinding for specific gear, but the current system as is, right? If there are 14 robe drops, there's only 2 that can be used for my myth, and everything else is absolutely useless. There was a stream recently with one of the devs, and they were actually talking about what they might do as a solution. And I'm making this video because I just want to get feedback on this, but also it's a little, I don't know how I feel about it. So the first clip that you're about to see is what they would do instead of the school specific upgrade system. This is something that a lot of people have an issue with. Play that clip.
Wait, sorry, say that again?
Instead of as it is right now, where it's one masterpiece gear of your school, if it was 7 of any school. Yeah.
But then would the drop rates be lowered?
No, if it was the drop rates that were as they are now.
So let's repeat that. Their solution to the issue that it's really hard to grind in order to upgrade your gear through crafting, their solution to that is to have you need 7 pieces of gear. Meaning, yeah, I won't need a myth tier 2 robe in order to craft this, but I need 7 of these masterpiece capes. Yeah, they're not school specific, but 7? Even if the drop rates of the masterpiece robes were increased, that's still kind of crazy, because what if you just happen to get the school specific masterpiece gear during the grind to get 7 masterpiece gear? Now that won't work. Like, that's crazy. 7 is still a huge amount. It's still 7 times as hard to get the robe as it used to be. Like, am I missing something, or are they actually fixated on making farming literally 7 times harder than Lemuria? Like, numerically, like, doubling down. The reason why I think replacing the current system with that would just be kind of crazy is because now, if you actually get the school specific gear, now it's utterly useless. Like, for example, right, I got very lucky for once, and I got the masterpiece gear on the myth, and I actually, like, I will be upgrading this to whatever I need at some point, and I certainly did not get 5 masterpiece hats in the meantime. I got 2. So instead of getting lucky with this, now I would need 5 more of these to craft the hat. And as if that wasn't enough, there's also another clip that I saw running around, and it's also really weird to me. It's about pixel drop rates. If y'all are unaware, you actually need 20 pixels and 50 polygons. So you need 50 polygons, you can get those on the ground, and you need 20 pixels, you can get those from boss fights. And right now the drop rates are very inflated because of, like, you know, double member benefits for crafting, meaning you'll get double reagents, but the normal, it is very difficult to get. So here's what they have to say about pixel drop rates.
Make the pixels worth less, so the recipes would cost more, but you'd get dropped more, so that even at, like, the lowest value fight, you at least get 1 per fight or something like that. So you're just like always making progress.
I love this because the title of the clip is literally pixelflation, and that's literally what this is. I kind of get this a little bit. I'll give them a little bit of credit on this because I think they're trying to make it feel like you're making progress through every fight. And yes, I think there's psychological value to doing a fight, getting a drop, and knowing, oh, that's contributing to something. But my issue is, if you double the drop rates to make it so that you can get it from a lot of stuff, like double the pixel drop rates, but then you maybe double the amount of pixels you need in order to craft this stuff, well, then that's not doing anything, now is it? Now, obviously, if mob fights are one of the drop sources and, you know, you very linearly change the drop rates and the requirement for the recipes, I could see maybe that's okay. That's still kind of crazy, though. I feel like I don't understand why, when they've added raid gear that they promised would be 0 upgrade for pixels and polygons, and they also add eternal gear for pixels and polygons, and then that's not even to mention the main Aeon gear if you just don't happen to get the drop for pixels and polygon. I don't see why they don't look at lowering the requirement for some of those recipes first, especially the raid gear. This gear has no pity system in place. You either get the void amulet or you don't get the void amulet. So the fact that this is so hard to upgrade is already wild. And this is also very pricey as is. It's really, really hard to farm even for one piece of upgraded gear. So I just hope that we don't, you know, end up with Pixelgate, Pixelflation, the Pixel Crisis of 2022. It's almost 2022. The Pixel Crisis of 2023. I think what the devs are struggling with, and I think it's a hard thing to actually balance, is the fact that you need to find a real healthy balance between people that have 1 max wizard and 7 max wizards. And that has a lot to do with playtime, right? If you have a situation where having 1 max wizard is genuinely 7 times easier to get the gear for than, you know, 7 max wizards, what you'll run into is a lack of incentive maybe for you to actually make more wizard. If you can fully gear out a myth wizard in, you know, a day, why would you really need to make a fire wizard or a depth wizard or a storm wizard? As much as I agree with that point, I think that incentivizing creating new schools should be done through other means, not making the grind so intolerable that, oh, you happen to have a max or 2, okay, I guess it's a little bit easier. I think that's a really wrong approach. I don't think you should annoy someone to incentivize them. I think you should actually make the schools distinct and cool, which is what they're doing right now. I think some people will disagree with me on this, but I think one of the best things that they've done in a long, long time is actually make the gear different. I know that seems like a crazy thing, but like if you look at the storm gear, it is low resist and high damage. And if you look at the myth and fire gear, they actually do go really, really hard into the pierce identity. And for myth, since they have resist, you have a little bit more resist. I think that type of differentiation already makes you incentivized to actually create more wizards because, yeah, the spells are different, but also the gear is now different. Eventually, as we have more dual school options and more synergies between one school and another, you'll see even more reasons to actually want to create another school and not just stick with 1 max. If the reasoning for making drop rates literally 7 times worse in this world than the last world is to make it so that there's an incentive to have many max wizards, I think this is the worst way to do it. I think if anything, the pixel requirements and polygon requirements should go down for raid gear for sure, not, you know, do this weird thing where you increase the drop rate, but also increase the requirement in order to craft it. That's crazy to me. And if they are going to add a pity system with multiple pieces of masterpiece gear, I think it should be 3 maximum. I think 3 is even pushing it a lot. Meaning you could have 3 pieces of any school masterpiece gear, and you could use it to craft any piece of eternal or Aeon gear that you need. 7 just feels unfun, unrewarding, and unfair. So that's my hot take on this. I thought we would weigh in before this update goes live, because I honestly think more than anybody, this punishes people that 1, did not take advantage of any glitch because they didn't have a max when it was happening, and 2, it punishes people that are more casual. A player like me, I'm grinding every day. I'm almost done grinding. I'm basically going to be able to make the gear, and I'm going to have a ton of pixels left over because of the double, you know, crafting. What about people that are slower to the game? And what about people that are late to the party? Are they going to be punished for being late by having to need 7 items to craft what they need? I think that's wild. So if anything, I think this video helps those people more than anything. So I want us to weigh in. And also, do you guys think that this is a direction that they'll take in the next world? And do you guys approve of that too? Let me know what you guys think of the gear grind in this world in general. Definitely one of the wildest grinds I've been on in a while. I look forward to reading all of your comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Leave a sub if you're new. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. So stay awesome. And yeah.